I'm Jeffrey Hill.
And I'm Mark Graves.
This program is a multi-part look at the history, techniques, movements, and people who create the magic that we call motion pictures.
The stories used to be about Greek gods and nobility, but through the years the idea evolved, and the best drama, tragedy, and comedy screenplays were written about regular people being thrown into irregular circumstances. So the screenplay is linear, which means it is written in a straight line as it happens with no flashbacks or wild tangents. That doesn't mean it has to play that way. Once you finish your screenplay, you can shift things around. A scene that happens at the beginning of a screenplay can be removed and inserted halfway through the story to reveal events that took place before the story began.
Today, Mark, let's cut to the chase in a manner of speaking and focus on editing and how this process helps tell the story in a motion picture.
In this scene from Alfred Hitchcock's Sabotage, editing is used to create dramatic tension by making the audience intensely aware of the passage of time. Breaking up the action on the screen into many scenes is one of the best tools that filmmakers have to create the magic and the excitement we feel when we watch movies.
Hi, my name is Joel Svensson. I work for Roscoe Laboratories. What we're most famous for are the colored lighting filters that you use in your daily production sets. You probably know them as gels. They're called gels because back in the early 1900s, we actually used to make them out of colored gelatin. We'd bake them into large sheets, peel them off, and sell them onto the local New York stages where they were used to color the vaudeville shows of the time. Nowadays, the lights have gotten much more powerful, and we can't really put gelatin in front of those lights. We created them out of plastics now. We have high-temperature plastics made available to us, and that's what we create them out of.
So here's our lighting. We had a 400 watt HMI right there reflecting off of that white card, bouncing back into our actors, acting as a fill. And we also had a 650 watt tungsten RE light, and it's reflecting off of that gold reflector and back into their faces, into the frame. And that's creating that golden kind of sunset look. And so the 400 watt HMI is acting as fill, and that little LED panel right there in the bottom left hand side, that one's acting as fill also for Jake's face when he's leaning forward. So let's start with the 650 watt RE tungsten light. That one is bouncing off of that gold reflector. This is full gold reflector. It's the same reflector that we're using as a reflector for the HMI, but we just peeled off that gold side and we just attach it to the glass with gaffer's tape. So it's bouncing back into the actors from that direction, and that's what's creating the golden highlights in her hair at this point, and also in the master shot. So there it is again, so you can see exactly what we did. We spotted it into that into the center of the reflector, so we can create a little bit more of a specular highlight, more of a tighter highlight, but just from that particular angle. We didn't want it to flood too much and create too much of a large area, because the setting sun is a very small specular light that's very far away, and we wanted it to have that exact same feeling.
Principles of expressive action. In this section, the actor will be asked to build an expressive action from the ground up. This will involve a body-based exploration of a specialized and adaptable type of movement that allows us to express our thoughts and feelings. We will research what I like to call the architecture of an expressive action, the physical raw materials that make expression possible. This study is primarily an exploration of a shift of weight. The actor will explore all the various physical properties that unite in the creation of a weight shift. Its direction, speed, orientation, weight, size, progression, and flow. Once again, the wave-like action that flows through the whole body. And it's all really waves. There is down here the trough, and the action progresses upward to the crest and then moves back downward to the trough. And learning to ride the waves of life, or ride the seas of the performance, whether the seas be rough or choppy or relatively calm.
Contact, withdraw.
When are you progressing towards the periphery? When are you progressing back to the center?
Periphery, center.
Social media and news reporting help students and educators understand the growing role of social media in the gathering and dissemination of news information, along with many ways to integrate into traditional news outlets and online-based sources. This program teaches a variety of ways in which social media is essential to storytelling and news distribution. Each chapter highlights an element of social media used by top journalists who rely on these communication channels to both research stories and broaden their audience.
Every movie, video, training DVD, or commercial always begins with one thing: a word. The written word is still, after 4,000 years, the way every performance begins, whether it's film, TV, or a stage play. Being able to creatively string words together still seems miraculous when you see a genius do it. You're in awe of their creativity. Were they born that way? Or did they just do their homework and dedicate themselves to writing? Every good movie started with a good script. Most bad movies started with a bad script. An uninspired director or a poorly cast actor can seldom ruin a good script. But even a master actor working with a veteran director can hardly rescue a bad script. So it all begins with the written word, being able to put words together in a way that pleases people, entertains them, stirs them emotionally, or scares the dickens out of them. Now, some will say that a good screenplay comes from good formatting. That is true to a certain respect. Good formatting will make a screenplay more enjoyable, easier to read, and easier to shoot. However, if formatting was all you needed to make a good screenplay, any formatted story would make a great movie. That's not the case.
Hello and welcome to Unarmed Stage Combat 2, Perfecting the Fundamentals.
Attacker. The attacker is the combatant initiating the attack. Victim. The victim is the combatant receiving the attack. Fighting distance. The correct spacing between you and your partner should be at least 6 to 8 inches out of reach. Tension relaxation. Remember to breathe and stay relaxed throughout the fight.
Welcome to George Mason University's Studio A. My name is Rick Davis, and today our guest is Dennis Bonney, Director of Photography for such documentaries as Journey to Planet Earth and kind of an all-around film and video wizard. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dennis Bonney. The Director of Photography, what does that position entail, and how did you get started in it?
The Director of Photography handles a lot of responsibility, but it varies depending on the particular job. On a feature film set where you have a big hierarchy and you have a camera department with many individuals and an art department and a grip and electric department, it's different than in a smaller documentary context where you have a smaller footprint and a fewer crew people. In either case, what is consistent is that you are ultimately responsible for the integrity of the image.
First, we'll look at all the pieces in a sound system, or rig as we call it. Then we'll go back and examine each piece of gear one at a time, explaining how to use and incorporate it into your mix. We'll also cover some points on theatrical sound, systems design, and the biggie, troubleshooting.
In this program, I'm going to talk about how to do clay animation using a computer. To begin with, we'll have to build a clay animation puppet. And the first thing to do is to make a skeleton. And we'll seal this part of the torso. And the other thing I'm going to do is take a remaining nut, and I'm going to insert that into the base of the pelvis so that I'll have the option of also bolting his body. And what we're going to do is use these colors and blend them together to come up with these two tones, because when we animate, we're going to do a blending or a combination of the flexible Sculpey along with the Sculpey that's not baked.
Here is the before and after of Matt in the finished makeup, complete with character teeth created by makeup artist Todd McIntosh. If we had added contacts, this would be the effect. Using Graftobian's Pro Adhesive, he stipples 2 thin layers not only over the appliances, but slightly into the surrounding skin. He force dries this using a hairdryer on a low setting.